this video, we're talking about 3 reasons why your conversations are turning into conflicts, so that you can notice and identify these patterns that are probably sabotaging your good intentions, and think about what you can do to get your conversations to go better so you can talk without fighting. I'm Amber Dawson. I'm a psychologist and couples therapist, and my goal is to help you with communication so you can feel seen and heard. So here are the 3 things that are probably making your conversations turn into conflicts. The first, second, and third have to do with how we're communicating, our different points of view, and how distressed our relationship is overall. So let's go into the first one. There's always a few different things that we're dealing with when we're actually communicating a frustration to our partner. We have at least the actual problem, and in addition to that, how we're talking about the problem. Now, let's imagine this scenario. Maybe I'm frustrated my partner didn't lock the door. If I'm like, hey babe, I just noticed the door is unlocked. Would you mind go locking it? How would you respond to that? Versus how would you respond to it if I was like, ugh, you didn't lock the door again. What are you, a child? Go, take care of it. Which of those 2 scenarios do you think is more likely to cause a fight? And so we have to remember, the situation that we're upset about is the unlocked door. What we're often fighting about is how we convey that message. So we want to pay very careful attention to how we are conveying a message, because how we convey the message is a predictor of conversations turning into conflicts. The second thing you want to be aware of is you have different points of view. Many couples get into fighting about what the point of view means to them both. They get into fights about the logic or the practicalities or the facts of the situation. Those matter. However, what most of the time you're fighting about isn't the facts themselves, rather what the facts mean to you. In addition, if the situation happened a long time ago, our brains aren't actually very good at recall. We might think we remember it perfectly, but chances are we're missing some things in our memory and our brains are filling in the gaps in such a way that confirms our story. And so we want to understand when we're fighting with our partners, we have different points of view, and chances are they're both right. So let's imagine I come back to this situation with my partner, and if I'm like, oh, you never lock the door, I'm always having to go do it for you. Now, maybe my partner gets hung up on the words always and is like, what are you talking about? You don't always have to lock the door for me. They're like, I lock the door sometimes. We get hung up on these semantics, these different points of view that get in the way of actually solving the problem. We're so busy thinking about if our point of view is right or not, we're losing sight of, is the door unlocked in this present moment? So you want to remember when you're in a conversation with your partner, you don't have to agree with all the facts they're saying, which I know is very hard to do. Rather, understand they have their perspective, you have your perspective, and try to remember that they're probably both valid in their own unique way. I know, that's really hard. And the third reason that your conversations are likely becoming conflicts is if your relationship is already distressed. So when we have distressed relationships, if we've been fighting a lot, we're distant, we're just not getting along, we feel like strangers passing in the halls of our home rather than friends, lovers, spouses. The more distressed we are, the more likely it is our good intentions, our neutral conversations are going to turn into conflict. When a relationship is good and happy and feels loving and connected, we're more likely to take neutral, positive, and even negative things and be able to talk about them in a beneficial way. And so we really want to work on just the overall state in our relationship, because when our relationship feels better, our conversations also tend to go better. So in this video, we've talked about 3 things: how you are talking about the issue, your different points of view on the issue, and how distressed your relationship is. And I know this can be really hard things for couples. Once they understand there is a problem, they're like, okay, well, what do I do about it? How do I fix it? The number one thing that couples come to therapy for is, when I ask what brings you to couples therapy, they say communication. They want practical strategies, practical tools to help them get on the same page, or at least closer to the same chapter in the book. That's why I created the online course, Communication Cures. What this course is it's to help you identify toxic communication patterns that could be sabotaging your good intentions and give you practical tools for how to speak differently, how to use helpful and healthy communication patterns so that you can get your message across. I have frameworks for how to talk about difficult conversations where you disagree, or how to process past fights. So you learn how to talk about rocky and difficult moments without it blowing up. Rather, you just have a conversation about a hard moment. Another thing that we do in this course is we look at the 5 love languages and we learn about how to improve the state of our relationships, because when our relationship feels better, we're more likely to have more harmonious and peaceful conversations. So if you're interested in this course, I encourage you to click the link in the bio if you're on Instagram, or in the notes below this video if you're on YouTube, so that you can get on the waiting list for Communication Cures, so that you and your partner can learn to communicate in such a way that nurtures your love and strengthens your relationship, so that no matter what the topic is, you feel confident that you'll be able to talk about it without it turning into a fight. So I hope you learned a lot, you've gained some awareness when you think about 3 reasons that your conversations are turning into conflict.